What's up, everyone? So I'm going to talk about passport brothers. Normally, I don't talk about stuff like that. I try to talk about things that help you improve yourself. And I'm a living example of that, of success and hard work. Not to brag. They say if it's true, it's not bragging. But anyway, there's a lot of talk about passport brothers. A lot of videos circulating, a lot of women and men all chiming in, different views. But I'm going to say I have a different take. My thing with passport brothers is I wonder what they think they're going to find in another country that when they bring their wives or girlfriends back here, that it'll stay the same, that those things won't change once those women are in a new environment, new system, new culture. Men and women interact differently here, completely different culture, if they're not going to change. And also question some of their intentions. And I'm not knocking passport brothers. I'll question some of their intentions. What I mean is sometimes, let's be real. I seen a documentary years ago, I think it was 2020 probably that did it, on sex trafficking in India and Thailand. And a lot of these were American guys that were going there for that. A lot of these were mostly a lot of white American, affluent American guys, not even somewhat affluent. A lot of them were affluent, but some were not. And they go to those countries because there is no age of consent. Basically, if you have money, anything is legal. And I wonder if some of them are going there for that. Now, as far as the black guys, a lot of them are going to Brazil and Dominican Republic. That's where a lot of black guys are going. Because there was a documentary on YouTube years ago. I forgot the name of it, but it was basically about black men that went to Brazil to date and how they just said they'll never date black American women again once they went over to Brazil and they saw how they were valued and respected and appreciated in Brazil. India, listen to that. Those words, that's what's important. In Brazil, India. For these white guys, once again, they go to Asia a lot, right? In Pacific Islands. That's where they tend to go to find women. But the thing is, I'm speaking from experience. For one, let's get this straight. I basically grew up in New York. You don't have to go overseas if you're looking for a woman from another country. You can find that right here in New York. Cultural, everything. In New York. You can find that. Where they may be Americanized, but they're still going to have some of their traditional values, depending on how their parents were. If their parents were deep in the culture, bet you believe they're going to have some traditional values. Now, sometimes they may sneak off and do things without their parents knowing, that's happened. Listen, I can tell you, I'm speaking from experience. I've always been able to attract women of all races. Before, rappers were talking about it. Where a lot of rappers had to get fancy cars and get notoriety in order to pull women of other races. That's never been an issue for me. I remember being in high school and there was this Chinese girl in my high school. I went to art and design, which is like it was a mixed high school. There's an art school, that's the name. But I remember every day, like almost every day, if I didn't have art supplies, she'd bring some for me and say, hey, you can share with me. And then she started bringing fruit to school for me. And I didn't catch on to it at the time. I did not have a clue. I had to get older. And I ran into her like 20 years later in Long Island in the Tanger outlets shopping. And I saw her and I said, I forgot her name. I said, but that's from high school. I thought she's going to remember me. And sure enough, she remembered me. She said, of course I remember you. And I looked at her and I could see I could see that it took her back. She was like, this is that black guy I was like really attracted to, that just, makes me kind of melt when I see him. I could see that, so same thing, in school, like I never had a problem attracting Spanish girls. I never had a problem attracting Indian girls is different. If they were attracted to you, they won't show it. But as I got older, in my mid to late 20s, and I started dressing better, I started working, sure enough, let me see, did I ever date an Indian? I'm trying to remember how the different types of women I've dated. I've dated a lot of different, not a lot, but I've dated a lot of Hispanics, black, of course, white, foreign white, that's Asian. Yeah. So anyway, so back to these passport brothers. A lot of them, this is the thing. If you're a scrub, no matter if you're a scrub, right? For the ones that are scrubs, if you're a scrub here, you're going to be a scrub there. It's human nature for people to be able to figure out who is socially inadequate. So you can be socially inadequate in English, socially inadequate in Chinese, Spanish. It doesn't matter. If you're socially inadequate, people will eventually see that. So you're not running away from anything. So for those guys, and I say this strictly to more of the black guys that talk so poorly about black American women, understand, listen, feminism has changed the dating scene. It's changed the social dynamic between men and women. It's really impacted the dating dynamic. I understand that we cannot ignore that. It seems like we're becoming more and more incompatible, right? But I believe there's light around the corner. I think the tough times ahead are bringing people back together. But anyway, back to my point. I tend to go off the subject. If you're that dissatisfied with the black women here and they see you as a nerd, or you say they want thugs, and listen, I used to talk just like that. I used to talk just like that. When I was in my early 20s and I started dating Asian girls, I started saying, man, I'm done with these black girls. I'm done. I would say stuff like that. But then as time goes on, the years go on, you realize that females are females. In the long run, once the rubber hits the road. So like I'm saying, so the initial attraction, right? The initial approach may be different, right? So because I believe that a lot of black women come from tough communities, they're more guarded. So they're going to be more, I think sometimes they expect you to be more assertive or aggressive or rough. Hold on, I'm making chicken in here. Let me stop this. I'm going to have to take y'all with me so I could go turn this chicken off. I don't want my chicken to burn. But anyway, I think that black women put up a hard exterior. And also it goes back to, I don't want to get too deep into it because that's not the purpose of this, but the black American experience is unlike any other experience. So you have to take all those factors into consideration. But here's where I'm going with this. If you're a passport brother and you were unsuccessful with black women, there's no way you could be, there's no way if you talk to 10 black women, you're going to be unsuccessful with all 10 of them. Sometimes, and I'm not just focusing on black men. I'm just addressing the black expats now, or passport brothers. If you can't attract your own woman, you may be able to attract a woman of another race, but if you're socially awkward, because listen, bad guys are the same in every culture. Bad guys are the same in every culture. Backwards baseball cap, a thug is a thug. There are white thugs, black thugs, Asian thugs. You've seen, my ex, she dated a drug dealer, an Asian drug dealer. He was a bad boy, a married guy. She fucked around with him, excuse my language. Right? So that means she, at her early 20s, was attracted to that bad boy persona. This is universal. You're not running away from anything. And remember, a lot of women in these other cultures, they watch TV. They're in tune to the same programming. Because now, the passport brothers were probably the generations before us. I would say of the cutoff, would be the 90s. That's when cable became global. When MTV and VH1, the satellite TV came about. So now you could broadcast the same image in New York that you can in Taiwan. Right? You could broadcast the same images around the world. It wasn't always like that. I remember growing up being in New York, where the wrestling that was on TV in New York was not the same as the one in South Carolina, where my family was from. We would go down there and it'd be completely different wrestlers. No Vince McMahon until satellite, and Vince McMahon was able to centralize or unify the wrestling circuits. So anyway, back to what I'm saying. Listen, if you're a scrub here, you're going to be a scrub anywhere you go. She'll eventually figure it out, especially when she gets here and she gets to experience and see other men. If you don't think for 2 minutes that when that woman gets here, she might not flip the script on you, go back and watch Eddie Murphy's Raw. He talked about that. If you, umfufu, don't bring umfufu to the States and let her start hanging around these American women, because eventually they're going to tell her what she's missing out on. And this is no slob. This video is not attacking women at all. This is just for the passport brothers. So I want you to think, and also with some passport brothers, I would say they're not honest about their intentions. A lot of them just want easy sex, and they can't get that here. They don't have the game to walk up to a woman here and seduce her into saying yes and having sex with them. They can't do that. So they'll go to another country where they know those women are financially strapped. They have the stars in their eyes. They think you're going to bring them here. But make no mistake, you are being gamed. You are still being gamed. Let me tell you a true story I saw for you passport brothers. And this goes for you white boys too, Hispanic, Asian, all you passport brothers, you're all the same. And I'm not knocking you, but let me tell you something to think about. I saw a broadcast. I wish I remember the documentary I saw, but it was in, I think it was Thailand, if I'm correct. But the subject was men who go abroad and date. So they approached these women in Thailand, and they were in a library on the computers. And the cameraman asked them, I'm paraphrasing, but basically what the woman said is, I'm in the library right now talking to all my 7 or whatever boyfriends around the world. When they come here, I make sure I schedule them out. So when they come to visit, they think they're the only one, and have all 7 of these men funding my lifestyle. Another true story for you passport brothers. I know someone, a Dominican homeboy of mine. He had a girl in DR. He was sending money to, taking care of her. But every time he wanted to see her, it had to be when she said she was free. So he took a chance. Just dropped by there. Just flew to DR, took a cab, went to her place. And guess what? There was a dude in there with her. Not only did she have a dude with her, they had a kid together he didn't even know about. He was funding her family, basically. All right? Tell you another passport story for you passport brothers. Excuse me. Another story of what could happen to you. One of my exes, she had a friend that used to love to date. He loved young women. See what I mean about that? Some type of perversion sometime with you guys. He liked really young women. So he had one over there in Ecuador that he would send money to, go visit, go see her. But then once he got back here, the communication always got shady. She wouldn't pick up the phone. And when she got the phone, it was, I didn't hear it ringing. I was doing this and that. So, true story. One time, she forgot to turn her cell phone video camera off. They were video chatting. She forgot to turn it off and end the call because the doorbell rang. And she said, excuse me, disappeared, whatever. Totally forgot he was on the phone. Or she said, bye. I'm just, trying to build up to it, right? I don't remember all the details, but I do remember the outcome. I guess she thought they ended the call. He was right there still watching. She brought a guy in. They were in the background. He could see down the hall on the camera, her and this guy were having sex. He started screaming. He got emotional, started screaming. She ran and stopped the phone. You know what she told him? That wasn't me you saw. That was my sister. I was still in the living room. That's what she told him. No shit. That wasn't me. So I want you to think about that. Another story for you, true story. Military. And I forgot what country in South America it was. Latin America. I can't even say exactly, but I know it was one of the Spanish-speaking countries. This woman got got pregnant by a white soldier. But what she did early on when he left is she didn't want to be poor, struggling, taking care of that kid. So she started talking to other white soldiers, getting intimate with them very quickly before they were deployed or sent back. So now she said she had something like maybe like 3 or 4 men that all believed they were the father to her child. All of them sending her money, scheduling out the visits for them to come see the kid. And none of them was the father. She knew who the real father was. None of those 4 guys were the father, but they were all sending her money. And I forgot how she got busted, but I know one of the men had a feeling. I think he flew back unannounced, but I know it ended very violently. I think he wound up losing his life. I think he went back there and put his hands on her or something like that. And she had some goons deal with him before he even got back to his car, something like that. But I know he lost his life over that. So I know it sounds good. It sounds good to go overseas and get these beautiful women that, oh man, they just love you and there's stars in their eyes. Listen, man, it ain't real, man. It ain't real. It ain't real. It ain't real. What you gonna have in common with a lot of these women anyway, culturally? And once they get here, like I said, this is how it would work. It would work if you move over there and keep her over there. Because if you're going to be flying over here, she's going to be cheating on you with someone else. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I just want you to know what it is. That's all. That's all I want you to know what it is, Jake. Like Denzel would say. So anyway, you better keep her over there and you better go over there. That's the only way it's going to work. But if you staying over here and she's over there, she's going to cheat on you. If you bring her back here, the likelihood of her adopting the American culture could tell you where to go you can't just go to bed. You can't just go and have sex. You gotta warm up the oven. You know what I mean? In order to get sex, she's gonna adopt those most likely, unless you get someone that's older, in which none of you guys want. Now, if you get a woman that's like in her 40s and up from over, yeah, bring her right over here. She is who she is. She's not gonna change. Now, that's the best scenario for you. Get an older woman that's already lived her life over there. Really appreciate coming here. She's more likely going to be who she is. She's already who she is. She's done whatever she's going to do in life. She's happy to have you. That would be your best bet. Or finding one over there if you're going to go with a young woman and you moving over there. That would be your best bet. So anyway, this was not a diss to you passport brothers. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Also, I was going to shout out my other channel, but anyway, I'll put it in the link. Thank you.